Hey peeps, it's your girl Cassandra. Happy Wednesday and welcome to the month of July. So today's video is actually the word for the month of July, the prophetic word. So I've got some really interesting things to share with you guys regarding what the Lord has been sharing with me concerning the month of July. Now, you guys know how I roll. There's always a story involved, and I feel like that's just the way the Lord deals with me. That's how he speaks to me. There's always a whole bunch of different things that come together when he's trying to show me something or teach me something. So I have an overarching theme for the month of July, and then I have a few bullet points of other things that he showed me for the month as well. So let's get to it. So I'm going to start this story. This story actually begins about, I want to say maybe a week and a half ago. So I was waking up every morning to the sound of this owl. We're going to call it an owl for now. The sound of this owl. And every morning it was like, woo, 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 nonstop, over and over again. And the place where I live, I have been here for about 5 years. And this is the first time I've ever heard, I hear birds all morning long. There's tons of birds out here. You can hear some of them right now. But this was very different. Woo, 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 woo. And, I thought it was an owl. And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Why does this owl sound so close? Why does this owl sound like it's in my house? It was the craziest thing ever. And so this was going on for days upon days, probably about a week and a half or so. And it was really odd because there were times where I would come out to my backyard, which is where I am right now, and I would try to figure out where this bird was or this owl was. And the funny thing is when I would come outside, where you would think it would be louder or better to hear, it would actually be fainter, And I'm like, I cannot pinpoint where this thing is. I would go out the front door and same thing. I'd be like, where is this owl? Can't find it. So this has been going on for a week and a half. So this is probably a couple days ago. I decided to head over to my neighbor's house across the street. I'm hanging out there for a little while. When I come out of my neighbor's house, because they're right across the street, I look up and I see this bird sitting right on top of the chimney. And I hear it doing that call. Woo, 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 woo. And I'm like, yo, that is not an owl. That is a bird. And so I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm just like, there's something to this. There's something God's trying to show me. So I get sent on my scavenger hunt. So I'm on YouTube, I'm watching all these videos about bird calls, and finally I find the bird that makes that sound. And so when I was on YouTube, they were like, this is the mourning dove. And I'm like, oh, the mourning dove. So I decided to go do some research on the mourning dove. Now the whole time I was thinking the mourning dove was M-O-R-N-I-N-G, morning, afternoon, evening. But it's actually called the mourning dove, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G. So I'm just like, that doesn't sound good, mourning dove, So I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and look this up. So I'm going to read to y'all what I found out about the mourning dove. And this is the overarching word that I feel like the Lord is giving for the month of July. It says, by virtue of their melancholy call, mourning doves have been fittingly named. The mourning dove call is distinctive. Ooh, 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 ooh. That sound, which may evoke a feeling of grief over the loss of a dearly beloved one, but is far from representing death. Mourning dove symbolism can give us optimism. Beyond their sorrowful song is a message of life, hope, renewal, and peace. And I was just like, yo, that right there, that's the word of the Lord. So I don't know a person in my life, honestly, who's not coming out of some season of testing and being tried and mourning something in their lives. This season has just been difficult for a lot of people for multiple different reasons. You got so many things happening in our nation and just all around the world. So it's just an intense season in general. And I love the fact that even though it's called the mourning dove, it's really a representation of hope. So I did a little bit more research, and it was the mourning dove actually symbolizes the Holy Spirit. And the example of that is, this is the same translation, the same bird that was depicted at the baptism of Jesus. You know, when the dove came down and God was like, this is my son in who I'm well pleased. The mourning dove can also symbolize hope. And the biblical story that goes with that is the story of Noah and the ark. And when he sent out the dove and it came back with an olive branch in its mouth. And the mourning dove can also symbolize peace. And I love that as well. And, you know, I was just like, wow, Lord, like, what are you trying to say here? Like, what are you trying to say in the season? And, you know, again, breadcrumb season, scavenger hunt, like that's just where he has me. And so a couple days, probably like a few days ago, a friend called, like, texted me out of the blue. I wish I could read the text to you, but you're on my phone right now, filming this video. But, you know, she was sending me an encouraging word, and she said, get your hope up, get your hopes up. And immediately I heard that song that's like, get your hopes up, lift your head up, let your faith arise. And I was just like, whoa, like, all of this stuff is like tying together. You know, the Lord just was really, really stressing that lift your head up part. I was even talking to another friend about that the other day. Like, he's like, in this season, lift your head up. Remember who you are. You have hope. You know, I have a plan and a purpose for you. Like, this is a season of hope. And so, like, all these things are coming together, and I'm just like, wow, absolutely blown away. And then I had something really crazy happen to me. I think it was like just yesterday. It might have been 2 days ago. So I'm going to pick up my son from camp. This is a camp that he goes to every single year for the past 3 years. I know my way to get there. Like, I don't need a GPS. Like, I know how to get there. I've been there a million times, okay? Well, not a million, but you know. And so I'm just driving, and you know how I don't know if you've ever heard of the term, like, highway hypnosis. Like, people talk about how they get in their car after work, and then, like, they arrive at home, and they don't even remember, like, any of the drive whatsoever. They call it, like, highway hypnosis. Like, you're just driving, and, like, your brain just kicks in, and it just takes you where you need to go while you just kind of check out, daydream, or whatever. So that's the only way I can describe what actually happened to me. So I'm driving down the road. I know my turn is coming up in like a few turns. I'm about to turn left. But I guess I'm like in this highway hypnosis zone or what have you. And I wind up randomly turning left onto a road. Now, the funny thing is, the second I turned left onto the road, like, something in me clicked, and it was like, whoa, this is not where I'm supposed to be going. Like, why did I turn here? Like, I had this moment where I was like, wait, what just happened? Why did I just turn on this road? And the first thought that came to me as I was driving down that road and attempting to find a spot to do a U-turn, I heard in my spirit, you should check out the name of this road. And so I do my U-turn, come back to the road where I was. And no joke, the road is called New Hope Road. New Hope Road. And I just really feel like the Lord is driving that home for this month. Like, this month, he is going to give us new hope. He is going to pull us out of this season that feels very stagnant, that feels very mundane, that feels like it really lacks the manifestations that we desire in our heart. He wants to give us new hope. And there's so many different ways he's going to do that this month. And I'm going to get to some things that he spoke to me, just like a few bullet points that he said. One of the things that the Lord had told me last month, and we just got done doing a series on patience, you know, or waiting. He spoke to me again this month. He's like, patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. And, you know, one of the things God's really been stressing to me these last few days is like, you know, I want to kill that part of your flesh that feels like it can't wait, that it has to get everything immediately, that instant gratification. He's like, because in the future, it's going to be life or death. Like, you're going to be in certain situations where, like, your ability to wait is going to be life or death. And, like, I felt that so strongly in my spirit. And I'm like, wow, it was a very sobering thought. And I felt like, you know, he's been trying to produce patience in a lot of us in this past season. And he's saying patience is a virtue. I felt like one of the things he said for July as well, he said long-standing debts are being consumed and eradicated in July. Woo-hoo. Yes, I'm all about that. I got a couple of those that I would like to see eradicated and consumed. And, you know, I don't know how he's going to do that. Like, I have a friend who has this testimony about how a debt, like a really substantial debt, just disappeared off of her credit report and just disappeared from the company's computer. Like, it was a substantial debt and it completely disappeared. So like when I hear the Lord saying something like long-standing debts are being consumed and eradicated, like that was the first thing that came to mind. I just thought of my friend's testimony and I'm like, hey, I'm all about it. I'm not saying that's how he's going to do it for you. I'm not saying that's how he's going to do it for me, but I agree with his word to consume and eradicate long-standing debts. Supernatural debt cancellation is something I've been pressing in for years. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm paying my bills and, all that stuff. I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan. I'm doing those things, in the natural, but I'm always pressing in for God to like break in and do something absolutely supernatural on my behalf. So I feel like that's something that we can look forward to in the month of July. I felt like he also said, I am matchmaking in July. So my first thought, of course, was like, oh, he's talking romance. You sending me my man? Okay. And I really feel like that is what it is. For a lot of us, he says he's matchmaking. He's matchmaking. But, later on as I was meditating on that word, I felt like he even said, even in the realm of business and in the realm of like jobs. And I just really feel like some of us are about to step into our dream jobs. Like we're about to step into our dream jobs. I remember years ago, I was praying with a friend concerning work, and somehow a job got posted on her company's job board. And it was a position that she never even knew existed. Like she was so in love with the job description. It was so perfectly matched for her personality. And I remember her just saying like, Cassandra, like I didn't even know this job existed. Like this job is so me. And I really feel like a lot of us are about to step into some of that. For some of us, it might be corporate jobs. For some of us, you're going to be launching your own business. That's the matchmaking he's doing. He's setting you up. But I also feel, like I said, it's in regards to mates and romantic relationships as well. So keep your eyes open. And then the last thing that I feel like he said for the month of July is marching orders are coming in fast and furious. Make way and make room. So the funny thing is, like usually when the Lord gives me a word for the month, like it's already kind of manifested in some way in my life, And so for that last one, marching orders are coming in fast and furious, make way and make room. I was kind of like, well, Lord, did I get marching orders? I had like a moment where I was just like, I don't really know. And he's like, seriously? Like, what have you been doing for the last few days? And I had to think about it. And there's like 4 or 5 different new ideas that he's given me in the last week that I have been pursuing. Some of them I have absolutely no idea how to accomplish them. So I'm online, I'm doing a ton of research. I'm reading a lot of articles to figure out what my next step should be and how to establish these ideas in the best way. And I realized like a lot of my friends probably think I've been MIA for the last week. It's because like I have been like knee deep in these ideas that he's given me and researching and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you're so right, Lord. Like you have given me like 3 or 4 ideas that I have been pursuing. I've launched some things this week that, I never in a million years would have thought that I'd be launching. And it's so exciting, and I love when he does it in those subtle ways. So it doesn't feel so overwhelming and so like, oh, I've got a million things to do. But I just really feel like that is what he's saying for the month of July. And, going back to the Mourning Dove, this was something that happened too that I thought was really interesting. I talked about how I would come out to my backyard and try to find, the bird. Where is it? I would go out into my front yard, try to find the bird. Where is it? And you know what I finally realized? I realized that because the Mourning Dove was perched right on my chimney, the reason, the place in my house where I could hear it the most clearly was in my living room, because the sound was coming right down through my chimney. And, this is just kind of a interesting sidebar, but I'm going to throw this out there too. So I kind of looked up, like, what could a chimney represent? And one of the things I read said that chimney represents feeling good and enjoying yourself without having to notice problems. And I just really felt like it just spoke, like everything I read about it just spoke about enjoying yourself and feeling good. And so I really feel like God is going to meet us in a place and send us into a position where we're loving where we are, and then we're hearing him clearly, and we're feeling good about the things he's saying and doing in our lives. So Lord, I just bless your people with that word, and I look forward to hearing y'all's testimonies. See you guys.